There it goes.
There it goes.
And we're live. So welcome to the final week of WOPTOBER 2020. This week we have Dji Xmas with us. We also have the illustrious Clay and Russ with us also. How's everyone doing tonight?
Thanks for dealing with my last minute wardrobe malfunction. That was a close one.
Woo.
We're all right now. Everything's
Looking
fine.
beautiful. Looking beautiful.
Well, it doesn't really matter because you're seated, so we're okay.
Yeah. But
Ah,
oh no, he's
there
back.
we go.
He's back.
I'm
Wait.
back. Oh, did that?
You paused.
I know why, and that's really irritating. That I'm going to blame Zoom. Okay.
I support that.
Yeah. Why would it? I know why. It's irrelevant, but
Doing it again.
yeah. Okay. Cool. I'm getting
Whatever.
It's telling me my internet connection's unstable.
I'm the one that's unstable.
That could be. Yeah. You're all frozen now. So this was going fine till you kicked the stream off.
I know. I don't know what to say. Anyway, so how's everyone's week going?
Graciously.
I'm glad somebody had a comment. No comments. Tough, rough. I have never been so busy as when I've been locked down in my own house. There's nothing to pull me away from everything all the possibilities that exist here.
It's been really interesting. There's actually been a general consensus amongst everyone that either they're doing way less or they're doing way more, and there's no one who's really stayed at the level of working they were doing before.
That's funny because wasn't your life before you work a bit in the day and then you watch TV at night and then you go to bed? Where are those people? None of that has changed.
I don't know.
I guess maybe none of us ever associated with those people. I never understood that lifestyle.
I find it calming from time to time, but
oh yeah, I'll get one night a month where I'll just put the laptop down and just watch a TV show. But one a month is never enough. I've finished so many series and I couldn't give you a synopsis because I didn't actually watch any of them.
Oh, I do not want to think about how much TV I've watched in the last 6 months.
You know what? I'm a YouTube convert. I've become one of those people that just watches YouTube for my media consumption. Yeah. I actually have subscribed to people now. As you know how they yell at you to do. I actually tried it and it's all right. Yeah. So I've got a YouTube, and make sure you smash that subscribe button and hit the bell so you can get the latest updates every time I talk about some shit that nobody cares about. Every time I break into an abandoned warehouse, you can be the first to know.
On that note, for our Twitch watchers, click that follow button.
Yeah, subscribe to me too. If you like this stream, you might also like my stream, which is also this.
Anyway,
that's the big thing. We've all become Twitch streamers now.
I will say when I entered coronavirus, when I entered the lockdown, I was like, I guess I should stream, and I just never really picked up on it. And here I am doing hosting a weekly stream and streaming a bunch of conferences.
I set rules. I said 3 days a week I'm going to stream because I said I can't go to conferences. I can't talk to people. I love talking to people. Yeah. What am I supposed to do? And I said I have all these things around the house I have to get done. Why don't I stream me doing those things? Because it's always I do electronics repairs on Fridays. I do Wreck-It Wednesdays where I take electronics apart. And then Sundays I was doing drone streams, weather permitting. And so now Sundays, I don't know. Sundays might become urban exploration Sundays. We will see. So yeah, and it was things I'm doing anyway. So I'm going to stream them. And it also all the repair, I think all of us have a closet full of shit we need to fix. And so I was
lights to install.
Yeah, well, I don't know how well you can stream that. It looks like you do have a lot to install because you only got the one blue one. So I can see that. You gotta get the red and the green one in there, or there's gonna be.
Hold on. I feel like I'm being called out here for no apparent reason.
You brought it up. If you don't want to talk about it, don't bring it up. That's all I'm saying. Oh, there we go. Got the red one. All right. Now, if you just get a green one, everything will look normal.
I just need more light bulbs is what I need.
hey, it's locked down. It's hard to find toilet paper. It's hard to find light bulbs.
It's true.
You get a pass.
I will say that my quantity of super late night chats with people has dramatically increased since the
really
coronavirus.
Mine
yeah.
is
Sorry.
crashed. Mine is approaching 0.
I've had at least one 4-hour conversation with someone in this room in the last 3 days, and several
but
people in this room.
I needed help. I was having a problem. I'm sorry if you should have said that was too much.
No. Anyway,
There is no such thing as too much. There's no such thing as over the line, Donnie. There is no such thing as all those sort of constructs with us.
I mean, isn't that what the aggressive end meeting button is for? Like aggressively clicking the end meeting button, like
is that the 2020 hanging the hand set up angrily? Like we can't do that with cell phones anymore.
Oh no, I'd just say I'm going to take this Zoom call in the bathroom. Y'all want to come?
I got one. I'm gonna take some of those old Staples easy buttons and make it so you can end your Zoom meeting, but just
love it.
I'm writing that down. Hang on.
That
Have we talked about my podcast?
That sounds like a good Sunday night activity for your stream.
So that's what I do. So yeah, so the podcast, it's called I Got One. It's we're the top 100 comedy podcasts in Australia. Okay. None of us are in Australia, and it's like Shark Tank, but stupid. So like if you were gonna go on Shark Tank with malicious intent, what ideas would you bring with you?
Do not invite a Fed in the room. We call this evidence.
And so on occasion the podcast comes up with something that's really great, and I have it on the list to attempt to build and stream, and that's going to be my winter streams, is that Inventables.
So our weekly question: what's everyone drinking?
One. Something red.
Looks like nothing.
It looks like you need a refill.
I do.
Like if you drink any more of that, you're going to start belching and farting because it's going to be nothing but air.
I do.
Doctor's orders, refill. There you go.
Russ, what are you drinking?
A concoction that I call fall sangria, which is basis of whiskey, but apples and some other fall-based fruits with a little bit of cinnamon.
Lovely. Johnny?
Nice.
Is my camera still going?
You're still going.
Okay. I was worried that it was something I did that caused that, but cool. I get to blame you. That's exciting.
It's even better.
So are we on the WOPR Summit Twitch? Or
yes.
Okay, so we're all over the Twitches. Cool.
All right, I am over the Twitches.
Cool. I am drinking this amazing OPR. It's a
and
dry
not
gin.
Malort.
And no. So cool. Fun fact about Malort. It's like fun fact about Malort and Chicago deep dish pizza. Nobody here actually consumes either. It's the only time any of us consume any of that stuff is when friends come in from out of town and they're like, I heard we're supposed to eat deep dish. And you're like, all right.
Does anyone here watch Futurama? Because there's a scene in Futurama where they decide to go do all the things in the universe, and Zoidberg says, "It's funny, you never do all these things until someone comes to visit."
It's funny that you asked a channel full of nerds if anyone here watches Futurama.
I've actually run across nerds who don't, so
they're not nerds.
They
might be up and coming nerds. They may be training to be nerds, and that's fine. That's great. As soon as you watch Futurama, come hang out.
I have two things I'd like to lay a data point on about the lunacy of people and their proximity to regional history. So, as we all know, I worked in the FBI. I live in Philadelphia. The Philadelphia FBI office is right across the street from the Liberty Bell.
It is. I know this.
Do you want to know how many FBI agents have gone to visit the Liberty Bell?
0.
Like specifically gone to visit. Yeah, right. Yeah.
During their tenure in the Philadelphia field office.
You could do it at any time. It's right there. I'll do it.
Yeah, I know.
I'll do it tomorrow.
Next to none.
Yeah. How many of them are going to do it next week?
How many of them think about it after they leave and go, "Oh crap! I could have gone in and gotten the knit glove service in order to go see it," and now I got to stand in the line and maybe not see it.
Yeah, I've never been in the Sears Tower, and I've lived in Chicago for 41 years.
Yeah. In the meantime, I'm from Memphis, and I get people going, "Have you been to Graceland?"
Have you?
I
was just stranded in Memphis.
No one's stranded. They're kidnapped in Memphis.
It was bad. There was a Hilton there where we treated like kings, and they gave us free nights. So what had happened is the Tesla fast charger at the hotel, the fuse box for it was not locked, and somebody overnight decided to get funny with it and ended up burning out our charging board in the Tesla, and we got stranded in Memphis, and the hotel just comped us a couple of days.
Which part of Memphis? 240 is the main highway system that encompasses the city, northeast, southwest from a bullseye from the center of a circle. Were you downtown, east, north, or south Memphis?
I couldn't tell you.
I
could tell you there's nothing to do. Oh, nothing. Nope.
All right, then I am sending you a YouTube travel guide thing for Memphis that, as a Memphian, that I saw, I was like, wow, this is on point and absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, 100% of our time.
Do here.
100% of our time was spent trying to figure out how to get the Tesla running again. Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was to get out.
Well, yeah, that. Yeah.
I spent 19 years of my life trying to figure out how to get out of Memphis, and then I succeeded.
Good work. You made it. But yeah, there's nothing there. Like, surprisingly nothing there. For a city everyone's heard of.
The things that are there, if you are in tech, your choices are either directly medical or FedEx. If you are involved with food, there's nothing but soul food, barbecue, and things like that. The big thing Memphis is known for is music.
I was in
and that's it. Oh, and ducks.
Near our hotel, we had a Target, and we had a Joe's Crab Shack, and I didn't know the Joe's Crab Shack still existed, and there it was. And then we had that was our food options.
Well, they had the Bass Pro Shop, which was the failure of the pyramid thing, which originally started off as a sports complex.
Yeah, that pyramid thing.
But because they built it on the bank of the Mississippi, it sinks a quarter to 3/4 of an inch a year. Ever since it's been made, and it's a 20-ish-year-old facility, and it's still held true. There will be a point in the next 100 years in which the river will just start peeling it off.
You would have thought that anybody who architects buildings like that would know about riverbanks. Riverbanks aren't a new concept.
I think, but it's going to be peeled off just as King Ramses intended.
So Johnny, what do we have on docket for tonight?
We're trying to have a conversation over here.
He's trying to
I'm trying to run a stream.
Don't interrupt. So. Don't interrupt. Where does everyone in chat have to be?
Well, in a moment, I'm going to have to. No, I will not take this stream to the bathroom with me.
Did everyone make potties before we started?
No, but I got a soup can over here.
Okay, we're all set then.
Yeah, that's fine. Good enough for me. Good enough for government work.
This is so good. I'm going to show this again. This is an Orient spiced dry gin that I picked up in London because I'm worldly. It's just London.
If we're talking about gin, have you had gunpowder gin out of Ireland?
Yes. Oh, sure. Yeah.
Gin?
I'm a fan of gunpowder anything, really.
Yeah.
Gunpowder teas. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Brown.
Yep. Yes. Yeah.
Gunpowder and cocaine, I think it was, or something like that.
And I'm drinking out of my DEF CON no starch glass.
Yes.
Coincidentally, and also coincidentally wearing my DEF CON shirt. I swear, like, none of this was planned. This is my pajamas. So we all get to work in our PJs because.
Well, I got my DEF CON glass and my FBI cat team.
Okay. I have my.
I'm rocking the power clash of two different plaids of plaid pajama pants and a plaid shirt.
Cool. Yeah.
I thought that was your natural skin tone.
No.
No, I'm glad to see where my dad's shirts ended up. That's cool.
Alrighty, to Charles'
Zing
point.
of the day. I'm wearing an embroidered Patagonia jacket from a job I quit the day they gave it to me. So.
There you go. So, Johnny, what do you got on the deck for us?
No, I don't know. What are you looking for?
Give us a little quick synopsis.
Scrounge something up?
Or should we just,
I thought we were drinking.
Puppets.
Nobody told me that I had to provide content.
All right, well, I'm just gonna start sharing. I'm just gonna start sharing you and only you. We're all just gonna mute, and it's just gonna be the Johnny show for the next.
Let's do that. Hey, so dinosaurs were invented by the CIA to discourage time travel,
and then they turned to birds.
Birds aren't real. COVID was invented so everyone would have to stay inside, so the government could change all the birds' batteries,
which is powered by 5G.
We can do this. If the Earth isn't flat, why are your shoes flat?
Well, this explains the entire reason why flat-footedness to get out of Vietnam was eschewed. Like, people didn't like that because that, like, your feet are round, right?
I was going to say you're going to say that's why flat-footedness is shunned. It's to keep the truth hidden
under your foot.
I got to turn the compressor. I got to turn the compressor way up on my mic if we're going to have this conversation. I got to go full Alex Jones. People.
No,
the Earth is round.
No,
then why?
It's an oblate ellipsoid, much like my tummy.
It's a spheroid because it's not perfectly smooth.
Well, just like my tummy still.
Okay. I don't want to know about the non-smoothness of your tummy. Can we talk about what I came to talk about?
Yeah,
is that okay with everyone?
Like, I'm trying to make this awkward enough that you want to talk about what you want to talk about.
Nailed it. So today we're going to be talking about my favoriteest hobby of the 1,000 hobbies, and the only hobby I have not turned into a career. Don't make your hobby a career.
100% agree.
We've all fucked that one up. Urban exploration, something that really died out post 9/11 and has been hurting to make a comeback due to post 9/11 reasons. Things have kind of lightened up a bit, especially lately with the police no longer caring about their own jobs. And so it's been kind of like, this has been a banner year for it. And that's been really cool. I've certainly rebooted my endeavors, but we'll talk about all of that in a bit. I'll be unveiling a brand new urban exploration video as part of this. I'll be talking over it. But if you want to see it without me talking over it, it's on my YouTube. But yeah, that's what we're doing. Urban Exploration 101. This is going to be an intro, and it's going to be like a lot of people think like, oh, what is it? What do you just go and you find something that's empty and then you stick your head inside? How hard is this? It's kind of hard, and I'm going to give you the basics on how to get started in it, and then hopefully you will do what I do and share what you find.
Well, if you want to go ahead and share your screen, and we'll get this party started. Where
in the country are you located? Because you have that Midwestern ope.
I am currently stationed in South Philadelphia.
Oh, okay.
But I'm originally from Huntsville, Alabama. We're just going to keep bringing that back up every now and then.
Okay. Tell us more about Huntsville.
Oh, I've got a travel guide.
We've got Charles from Huntsville on the line.
On the way to school every morning, I drove by the Space and Rocket Center with the giant Saturn V rocket every morning. That was my inspiration to go to school.
On the road trip where I was abandoned or stranded in Memphis, we were coming back. We had turned around in Huntsville, and we were lost. And I was driving, and I was like, "Is that a Saturn V?"
Yes, it is.
We are this lost. And then we made it back.
Okay.
So share the screen. I'm going to share the screen. All right.
Go for it.
I'm going to poke the button. Oh, wait, I should. Oh, no. Okay. Hang on. And. Nope. That's the wrong screen. I hate computers.
They're the worst.
Yeah. All right. That there we go. That's good, right?
There
Are
we
we set?
go.
Cool.
Okay, I've transitioned.
Oh. And we still got my camera here too. Cool.
Yeah.
Oh no, but now you're showing everyone the magic of like they can see behind the curtain. They know that I'm not really. Yeah, because they can see me talking in the little boxes.
They
Oh.
don't. They just see you right now. That's all they do. They see your presentation with you sitting in the corner. You're good and golden.
You guys are pros.
I give you Johnny Xmas on Urban Exploring 101.
Okay, we're gonna edit all that out, right? Me not knowing how computers work. That's good because this is not about computers whatsoever. I'm Johnny Christmas. I'm a person and I do things. If you don't know me, I don't know, Google me. I'm not going to go through all of my random credentials because none of them really apply to what we're going to be talking about today. What does apply though is that let me get my slide deck running here. There we go. I forgot that I had to actually do that. What actually does apply though is that I, in the late 90s, early 2000s, was the president of the Chicago Urban Exploration League. We were very cool. We were some cool kids, and man, did we love to say that and make shirts and make stickers and crap. And it was a blast. Chicago, being a relatively new city, doesn't actually have a lot of abandoned infrastructure as compared to say something in the Rust Belt. Many people are aware that our city burned down in the late 1800s and we had to build it up from scratch, which was really cool because we have a very technologically advanced city for the late 1800s. The downside being that we lost a lot of really cool stuff that's just not around anymore. But there is some stuff here and we had a blast doing it. We would often do field trips to places. But then 9/11 rolled around and being inside of large buildings or buildings of any sort, just generally trespassing was very bad. It put everyone on high alert. And we were all worried about what we were hearing and seeing and kind of disbanded. We stopped doing it. And I haven't talked to those guys in a very long time. So as far as I know, I'm still the president of the Chicago Urban Exploration League. So here we are. I'm still doing it. If anyone wants to challenge my power, hit me up. I'll probably hand it over to you because I don't care that much. I just have a blast doing it. So I've been doing this since high school. I'm very old now. I'm much older than people think. And so that means I've been doing this for a very long time. We often, I often partner with ghost hunting teams to do a lot of this, which gets really fun because they bring in all their weird electronics and try to find ghosts, and we get to screw with them and make them think they found ghosts, and that's a blast. Consequently, I'm also one of the founders of Ghost Express, which is a company that ships ghosts anonymously to anyone of your choosing. You can find us at ghost.express. That's not a joke. And it kind of was birthed from all of this, as you may have seen in the papers lately. But yeah, that's me. I'm an old school urban explorer as far as late 90s can be considered old school. And that's all you really have to know about who I am as far as this deal goes. So this is going to be, as that initial slide says, it doesn't say that. Should have put that on there. Is it here? I put it here. Urban Exploration 101. That's what this is going to be about. Oh, that's a great shot. So this is me on top of an abandoned Wonder Bread factory. That's what Woter Reed is. Somebody has stolen some of those letters and I'm extremely jealous and I would love to go back and get one day. But yeah, this is, that's a place I've been. It's in Buffalo, New York. I'm on the roof of it. That place was insane and it is loaded with asbestos, hence my mask. We'll talk about that in a bit. So anyway, this is going to be an Urban Exploration 101. It's going to be a how to safely and knowledgeably get involved with one of the absolute coolest hobbies there is on all the planet of Earth without being a legit Indiana Jones level archaeologist. So let's talk about the rules of urban exploration. Of course, it's not a regulated organization or operation. There aren't any official, any kind of official rules. But there's And sorry, I just started that up for you so you can actually watch a little video in the background. There are rules that you should abide by in order to make sure that you're able to accomplish what you're setting out to accomplish, both safely and thoroughly. You know, and I can imagine everyone who's watching this is like, oh, he's going to talk a lot about safety, and like, all right, I can figure out safety. Like, all right, this is going to be, you know, 20 to 30 minutes on just how to be safe. And it's like, no, there's a lot of nuance here that you may not be aware of. And I'm going to focus not just on safety, but the type of equipment you should have outside of the safety region to make sure that you're able to get into all the places you want to be able to get into, to make sure you're able to document it. Because one of the primary reasons of doing any of this kind of work is to document what you found. You're in here, you think this place is cool, whatever this place is. In fact, what you're watching in the background right now is a mattress refurbishing center, but this will migrate into a lot of different things. This building was like 20 companies and it's insane. But you want to be able to share that. You want to bring that back for those who weren't brave enough or simply capable of exploring in the way that you did. So you want to make sure that you're able to document this in a very efficient and effective manner. And we're going to talk about that as well. First and foremost, I'm not a lawyer. I love that acronym for obvious reasons. I get asked this one a lot. Hey, isn't it illegal? Isn't what you're doing illegal? Yeah, it is. There's no beating around that bush. You are trespassing unless you're on unowned, unrestricted public land, which is just exceptionally rare. You know, where there'd be anything worth urbanly exploring. You're probably trespassing. Trespassing, depending on the municipality you're in, can have both criminal and civil liability potential. So it's not only like, hey, you'll get arrested in the state or the city will bring charges against you, but the owner of that building, the owner of that land can choose to bring civil charges against you. Even if you have been convicted of criminal charges, you can still have a civil suit brought against you as well, depending on exactly what's being brought against you. These can include prison and fines. Fines of $25,000 are not unheard of, are not rare in trespassing charges, at least in trespassing laws. Prison time, usually 1 to 2 years is where that maxes out. Still, 1 to 2 years of your life spent in prison can destroy your life. Absolutely. Upside is if you're actually exploring abandoned property that is unused, property that has nothing being done with it and no plans for it, it's generally not enforced. Even if you get caught by the police, chances are they're just going to tell you to go home. They're going to tell you, get out of here, go home. Worst case, well, not the worst case, but one of the worst case scenarios is that you might get arrested and you might be charged, and then you can go to court and you might get fined. Things like heavy fines and prison sentences are generally reserved by the courts for repeat offenders. And keep in mind that's repeat offenders in that vicinity. So if this is the first time you've ever been busted in Buffalo, New York, and you're never going back, you're probably going to be okay. You might have to drop a couple grand on a fine, but even then it's so freaking rare. But because of that, you have to be covert about what you're doing. You can't just bust in a window and hop in from the street. Somebody's going to call the cops. You can't hang out in front of windows, as we see here. Somebody might call the cops and say, hey, somebody's in there. And then the cops have to do something about it. Don't make the cops have to do something about it. One of the other things you can get busted for is the damage to the property you might cause. So if you're doing this properly, you're generally not damaging the proper anyway. You're here to explore. You're here to see and document the state that the property is in as it was. You're not there to bust out windows and take sledgehammers to walls and spray paint. Although there is some incredible art to be found in these buildings, some just amazing tag work because people who do these are secluded. They have hours and hours to spend on making something amazing and beautiful and really freaking cool. Unfortunately, this last building I did, a lot of the art was awful, which is strange. Chicago needs better taggers, like better graffiti artists. Get down here. Like, look at this crap. Also, if you get someone to come with you, if you cajole someone into joining you and they die or are injured, they could potentially bring a civil suit against you for that, they or their families, and say like, hey, I didn't want to go and he really talked me into it. And I was not informed of the severity of the situation and I was injured or my child was killed because of you. So that's something we were aware of as well. Operate with that in mind. Talk to people, talk to your cohorts with that in mind. And generally everything's going to work out okay. But just be aware the consequences exist and are real. Getting into it, actually getting started. Research the place you're thinking of breaking into. And that's what we're doing. We're breaking into a place. We are breaking the law. We are trespassing. We're not going to beat around that. Research the place you're thinking of breaking into. Google it up. Look for news articles, historical information. Check for a Wikipedia article on the place. Check for old news events for things that have happened. This particular building we're in here had a fire in 2018 that rendered a large portion of it exceptionally dangerous. Absolutely collapsed in on itself. Be aware. It's great information to know. You know what you're getting into. You know there's going to be structural instability. You know to look out for the things that a massive fire in an old building can cause. And that goes quite a long way. You know, it's one thing to like try to be prepared. It's another to actually be prepared. Try to get in contact with other urban exploration folks in the area. This is exceptionally difficult, especially in this day and age, especially post 9/11. Getting in touch with people who do this, super hard because it's illegal. And there had been a culture that was established post 9/11 of you're going to get put in prison as a terrorist if you're caught infiltrating these buildings. They think you're going to try to blow them up in the name of whatever your god of the day happens to be. And that culture hasn't really dissipated yet. It's slowly starting to, but it's definitely still there. So getting access to other urban exploration people, other forums, other local groups can be difficult. A great way to do that is to start doing these things yourself. Show that you're doing it, show that you're interested, show that you're not a cop is really what it is. And show that you can provide something of value to that community as a whole. And generally people will start coming around. Reddit is a great place to start. There are lots of old urban exploration forums out there that you can check. Many of them you'll see probably died off around 2003, 2005, but the information that they contain might still be useful. Definitely look at satellite images. Google Maps, hands down, one of the best options you have for that. Super easy. They update their satellite images with relative regularity, and you can see the current state of the building. You can perhaps find potential entrances, and that's going to lead us to our recon. Do recon before just showing up and trying to get in. Take another day to just hop around, hop down there, walk around, see what there is to see. I'm a fan of throwing the drone up. I have a drone. Drones are relatively inexpensive now, certainly not, within the realm of affordability. But throwing a drone around can be extremely helpful. You can get some close-up things that you can go back and review later and do some further Googling, hopefully get some information based on that. Once you've decided that this is a good idea, as far as access goes, consider if it's a good idea for your personal limits, your personal physical limits of what you can handle. Generally, what I have listed over here is the primary points that you need to consider for most places that you're going to go check out. Your life is at stake. Know your physical limits. That's primary there. You can die. You can die. And that's not an extreme statement I'm making here to scare you into being safe. It's very possible. And you can die because you weren't able to pull yourself up from something. You can get stuck somewhere that you weren't able to pull yourself out of, and there's no cell service, or you were taking a lot of video and photos with your phone and now it's dead, and you left your backpack at the top of that stairwell that you can't get back up to, or your batteries are all dead, or what have you. There's a lot of situations that could put you in a very bad position. Be aware of that. Make sure you can walk 5+ miles straight. That's not an exaggeration. That's my average per abandoned building dive, about 5 miles of walking over the course of several hours. Yes, you can take breaks, but how long of a break are you going to want to take? You're not going to take a break for an hour. You're going to take a break for 10 minutes and keep pushing on. So make sure that you're physically capable of walking that much. Make sure you can do some pull-ups, because you're going to have to, on occasion, pull yourself up. You don't need to do 10 pull-ups, but 3 is a generally good confirmation that you're in good enough shape that you're going to be able to handle crawling over and pull yourself up into ledges out of a situation where you may have ended up in a bad position. Generally, you're not going to go down something that looks too far out of your reach to get back up, but just in case, make sure that that's something that you're physically capable of doing. Make sure you can pull up onto a ledge that is taller than you, because that happens. And just, once, and then with some rest once again. Make sure you can lift and carry up to 70 pounds. That's a common requirement for jobs, for warehouse jobs. If you ever had a really shitty warehouse job, you always see that on the application, hey, this is a job requirement. Make sure you can do that, because you may have to save a friend. You may have to get something off your foot. You may just have to move something out of your way. And it would suck if you can't. And there's a lot of heavy crap around here. Weight to structure damage ratio. That's your personal weight weighed against how badly damaged you think the floor is, or what have you, the things you'll be walking on within this place. And so definitely gauge that. If you're a heavier person, your safety may generally is more at risk. That's not to say that heavier folks can't do this. It's just think and look. How badly damaged is this place? And that's something you may have to address when you get in there. When you're in these places, always think about that. Every time you enter a new room, weigh that situation. Look at the floor. Look at the ceiling. Assess whether you want to go in there at all. And that has nothing to do with weight. Look at everyone. Look at the floor. Look at the ceiling. Should I enter? And then walk slowly. Carry a big stick. Use that stick to whack the floor and make sure things are going to be okay. Oftentimes you can find a big stick once you get in, but if you bring with you a hiking pole or something like that, generally that's pretty good. And bring snacks. You are going to be exerting a lot of energy over the course of several hours, depending on the size of the place. And you may be in a remote area that doesn't have easy access to snacks. Snacks are critical. Anyone who does hiking knows how critical snacks are. Granola bars, high energy snacks, trail mix, things like that. A Snickers bar isn't going to get you through this. You need something with a lot of fat, a lot of carbs to help you out. Definitely stop, have a lunch if you need to. Snacks, absolutely critical. A lot of people laugh at that. And man, if you've been in a place 2-3 hours and you were just dying, there's nothing like a snack break for sure. Definitely make sure your snacks include liquid, at the very least water. And so moving on to what should you be lugging around with you? Not much, and consciously not much. You don't want to be lugging a bunch of shit in there. For one, you're going to be hiking for hours. 2, you're going to have to be fitting through some super tight spaces. And if you have a backpack full of everything you've ever known or loved on you, it's not going to work out very well. Also, you want to be able to put stuff in that backpack. You might find some cool things to take back. Make sure there's room in that backpack for you. You don't need that much stuff. Let's go through what that much stuff is. Make sure you bring lights. Make sure you bring other lights. Bring several lights. Bring smaller lights, maybe like 1 or 2 large ones. Bring lots of lights. These buildings generally do not have electricity. And even if they do, the chances of the lights working everywhere are just like slim to none. And if you're not in a room that's adjacent to a wall, there's probably not a window either. So lights are critical, and not just like general lights. Really, you need really bright lights, not just to like be able to take in everything that's going on and take pictures and crap, but just for personal safety, to be able to really understand what's going on in a room to make a decision about whether or not you should be doing what you're doing. In all seriousness, let's talk about what those lights are. You want a lightweight flashlight. A lot of people like to bring their like super industrial mag ultra plus flashlight that takes 12D batteries and can kill a horse in one hit. That sucks. That really sucks. You do not want to hold a mag light out that weighs that much for 4 hours while you're walking around a place. Your whole arm gets sore and it absolutely sucks. You want the lightest possible flashlight you can find with the most lumens output. And this is, I mean, that's the whole lighting, personal lighting industry, is like, how light can we make this versus how many lumens can we get out of there? 1,000 plus lumens is what you want out of a light. 800 is probably your absolute lower limit. My 2 favorite companies are Phoenix and LED Lenser. LED Lenser primarily does headlamps. Headlamps are so great. Definitely go with the headlamp, and then get a regular flashlight just for like additional spotlighting, what have you. So I like to also sometimes bring a work light like you see over here. And I actually will strap that, I'll zip tie it or whatever to my backpack strap. So it's just right there and constantly blasting out in front of me. What's cool about that is these things can have massive batteries, and thus they can have massive LED panels, and they can put out, 1,500 lumens. And they're just there constantly blasting out, and you don't have to hold it or anything. It's just there. And so that's something you can consider as well. But at the very least, I would say if you had to pick one of these, go with the headlamp. And then secondary, get a really good flashlight. Like I said, Phoenix, LED Lenser, awesome companies for not only like weight to lumen ratio, but also efficiency. You don't want those batteries to die out on you halfway through. But also, you're going to make sure that you're bringing additional batteries with you regardless. You're here. You're seeing something cool. You're doing what we're doing here in this video. Oh, by the way, these boxes we're looking at here and getting super interested in, you'll see it in a second. These were crates and crates and crates of old Doonesbury screensavers for Windows 3.1. And that's cool and interesting of itself, but they all also came with a Doonesbury t-shirt, which a lot of people got super excited about. And they were new, sealed in the box. Don't ask what those were doing down there. I think it was from upstairs. We found a t-shirt screening facility. And I think this was the last stage in that process where they would send all the software to this company to who would then make the shirts, fold them up, put them in the box, package everything, and then ship them out from there to the stores. But just finding this ocean of computer software, new sealed in box with t-shirts for something so iconic to like 90s tech culture as Doonesbury was just so cool to me. And this is kind of the kind of cool crap you come across and can nerd out about. Make sure you can record it and document it. Make sure that, you were brave enough and you took the chance of going in there. Make sure you can share that with other people. If we're all hackers, we all know that that's a core part of being a hacker is sharing that knowledge that you have with others. So bring good recording equipment. GoPros are fucking terrible. I fucking hate GoPros. They don't work. The pictures on them is beautiful. The microphones sound great, but 75% of the time, every time you turn that damn thing on, it's got some other weird problem. The battery dies without telling you. It's not recording in the right resolution. It doesn't turn on. It's just they're just the worst pieces of crap. They used to be so good, and then right around once the GoPro 5s came out, they just went to absolute shit, and I absolutely hate them. There's not a lot better, unfortunately. I'm a big fan of the Sony, what is it? The HDR AS300 is a great alternative. Take a look at that. That's a real popular one as well. The Dji Osmo Pockets here are really good. They have a built-in gimbal. Actually, what's going on here is they're the same cameras that are built into their higher end drones. Downside to those is they're kind of like this handheld thing still, but you can, again, zip tie it to your backpack strap or something like that and get by. I'm a big fan of those for sure. The Osmo Actions are okay. The mics on them kind of suck, but the picture is on par with the GoPro 7s. Anyway, anything like that. Make sure you're recording at 4K. It's 2020. Everything we own does 4K. But something as slow as 24 frames a second is cool. Don't worry about it. Most movies are still shot in 24 frames per second. It gives you that cinematic feel. It almost kind of does something better for what you're looking at. You want it to be body mounted, not head mounted. Head mounted makes people sick when they watch your videos because you're constantly doing this and everyone pukes. Body mounted, because generally you're not doing as much movement with your body. This camera we're looking at now is chest mounted. You can already see like it's still kind of nauseating. Imagine if that was on my head. Your phone is probably the best camera you own. Phone cameras are absolutely incredible, and that's why phones cost $1,000 now. Get yourself a mount for the phone that you can strap to your chest, hit record, make sure it's got a backup battery tethered to it, and you're probably set the entire time, for the exception of you may want to also take pictures. Bring batteries, bring tons of freaking batteries. Everyone has 200 USB batteries floating around. Charge them up, throw them in your backpack. And then, of course, if you're so inclined, bring your ghost hunting gear. If that's what you're into. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but definitely, for sure, don't forget it. Here, all right. So I I intentionally put the safety section, in the middle here because everyone thinks that this talk is going to be is about safety, and I'm like, no, there's lots of other cool things you need to freaking consider. But then also, yes, you're gotta be safe. So let's get this out of the way. This is super important, and things people don't think about: mechanics gloves, durable gloves that are meant to handle sharp, rusty, tetanus-inducing things. You're going to be touching a lot of stuff that you want very thick layers of fabric in between you and it. Sharp rustiness aside, make sure you have gloves, not just gardening gloves that are meant to save your fingers from getting cut off in an emergency situation. They're like $6 for cheap ones, and they're fine. Go out of your way, buy them. They're the best. That's probably the best. My favorite part of the kit is my mechanics gloves. A hard hat can be several things. It doesn't have to be an actual construction grade hard hat. Skydiving grade helmets are fine. Just a really nice helmet. Those are great. They're comfortable usually. Something like that, like a bicycle helmet's not going to cut it, but something that's really meant to take an impact, like skydiving helmets, are great without being annoying and having that weird wobbly feeling, and also have a lot of cooling vents in them and things, and so they're generally comfortable wear for a several hour dive. Things fall from the ceiling all the time. It happens. You're going to get whacked right in the face by a lighting fixture that fell out of nowhere, and you're going to be glad you had that helmet on versus nothing, especially if it might knock you down somewhere and you die, or you get a big gash across your face because you didn't have a helmet that would have stopped it. Like, just wear a helmet of some sort. Wear some good jeans. Wear your best dad jeans. Don't wear designer stretchy jeans because they suck. They're not for this. Wear jeans that are for hard work, which is great because as far as jeans go, those are usually the cheapest jeans. I'm a big fan of Kevlar jeans, which are generally found from motorcycling and the like stores. They are expensive, but they're often cheaper than designer jeans. And man, you can beat the absolute shit out of them. And they're fine. You can kneel on things, you can scrape through things, you can scratch rusty metal against them all day, and they're not going to slice open and cut your skin. Highly recommend some very tough motorcycling jeans. Boots, obviously, leather boots at least. Steel toe if you got them. Not super critical. Dress for the outdoors. A lot of these places are not environmentally sound. A lot of these places have ceilings that have absolutely collapsed. A lot of these places don't have environmental controls because they don't have electricity. There's no heat. There's no air conditioning. There's no ceiling sometimes, like I said. There's no roof. Make sure that you're dressed for being outside. Assume you'll be outside at some point. So have your rain gear, your warm weather gear, your cool weather, whatever you need to make sure that you're going to be comfortable while you're doing all this. And of course, make sure you got buddies both with you and remotely. Make sure your remote buddy has rules where if they don't hear from you in X amount of time, call the cops and tell them where you are. Make sure you remember to check in with that remote buddy. But also make sure you have at least one other person with you on site, not just in case you're injured and need help, but just to help move things. Like, it's great to have a second set of hands for all of this, for sure. A second set of eyes for seeing things you wouldn't have caught. Like, don't ever, ever, ever do this alone for so many great reasons. A lot of devices like the Apple Watch have fall sensors in them, where if you fall at a specific speed and hit hard enough and then stop moving, they'll automatically call the police and broadcast your location to them. That's super cool. And if all else fails, if you get hurt, if you're stuck, if you have broken a bone, if you can't move, if you're bleeding out, call the fucking cops, call 911, get emergency services in there, tell them where you're at. Absolute worst case scenario, you might get, a small fine for trespassing, but you're going to either save your life or at least save a life of misery of having to limp around because you waited 4 hours and made your injury way worse instead of getting medical attention on your leg or what have you. So don't be afraid to call 911. They're going to take care of you, and things will be way better than if you didn't, for sure. Moving into what most people are super interested about here. Security bypass equipment. Everyone in the hacker scene is like super into, lock picking, and they think it's just the greatest thing on the planet Earth. Nobody picks locks. It takes too long. Unless you're an absolute competition level pro, don't. It's not worth it. Every time, all you'll find on the other side of that door is a bunch more of this, or you'll find that there was an easier way in from the other side. Bring a multi-tool with you. You want pliers, you want a knife, you want Phillips and flathead screwdriver. All of that fits into a multi-tool. Though, especially the screwdrivers, those come in so handy for so many things. Sometimes you're just pulling hinges off doors. Sometimes you're pulling hard drives out of computers you found. Like, have a multi-tool. You find cool crap and you want some basic tools to be able to help you deal with that. Bring a loom hook. I meant to bring one for the stream and I didn't. Go Google loom hook. You'll find it. I call that the party popper. It's great for slipping in between a door and the jamb and coaxing the latches back into the door so you can open it. And they're like $12 and they are indispensable and they're not lock picks. So the cops don't do anything about it when you're caught with it. Pick yourself up some common keys. There was a talk Deviant gave at Hope 11 called "This Key is Your Key, This Key is My Key." And it's all about how many industrial level things use the same key for every lock that they put out, and how nobody changes those locks. And so you can buy a set of common keys and be all set. And often you can find these keys on eBay or Amazon. I recently picked up, go look on Amazon for the Tornado key set. It was over 100 keys for industrial equipment, all on one massive ring. It cost me about $75. And now I have a key for every piece of industrial equipment, construction equipment, bulldozers, cherry pickers, etc. I bought it off Amazon. So super cool. Not necessary for this, but it exists and it's a thing you can do. And so you should do it. Bring bypass tools for padlocks. Master American brings super shitty locks. They have tons of bypass tools that are way faster than lock picking. Do that. Bring some jigglers. Bring a tensioner and rakes to see if you can quickly pop some locks with raking. But again, don't worry about picking. Just don't bother. Find something else to do. And then if you have the space, you can bring like a set of like 18-inch bolt cutters to clip. They're still like this big to clip padlocks you find. Not extremely handy, but like if you want to bring the weight and fill your backpack with them, like try it out. See what happens. Oftentimes I find doors that are padlocked either have another door on the other side that's not, or they've also been welded shut. But if you want to bring bolt cutters and maybe a pry bar, let's see where that gets you. It's super rare. I've been in a situation where that's necessary though. So your call on that one. Takes up a lot of backpack space, takes up a lot of weight. So just, not sure if that's going to be the best solution for you there. That's Urbex 101. I hope I fit it into the 20-minute mark. That was my goal there. There's a lot more to it, of course. Finding places to get into, I feel like maybe I didn't cover enough, but you're going to know better than I will by, look around where you live. You probably know at least one place in your neighborhood or your city where it's like, man, it'd be really cool to be able to get into there. You probably can, and you just haven't gone to look. Nationally, my favorite is the Rust Belt, and I won't get into where and what the Rust Belt is other than it's the long strip of, where iron was mined and built into steel before the country started exporting all that to China and caused all those factories and crap to get shut down and all the towns around them to get shut down because everyone worked for the steel companies and left tons of abandoned crap in their wake. So if you were just at a loss, you want to take a road trip, look up Rust Belt. But yeah, there's me again on the top of that Wonder Bread building. That's absolutely one of my favorite things I've done. Second only to maybe the abandoned subway system in Rochester, New York. All these videos are up on my YouTube. If you want to watch them in full, it's youtube.com/JohnnyXmas. It's a great time. That's it. That's all I got for today. I hope that was helpful. Let's hang out. Let's chat. I'll take your questions. I'm sure you have a ton. Let me switch back to my other cam here. And
no need.
We'll
I got you covered.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool. I can just shut down my OBS and save some CPU. Cool. Right.
Thank you very much, Johnny. That was an awesome talk. We do actually have a couple of questions from people.
From people, no less.
From people. I mean, either that or they're really good AIs. I don't know.
I'm all for training AIs to get better. So please, AI, ask me your questions.
One person is asking, what's your favorite place to explore? But I think you've covered that in the Rust Belt.
So the tense of that sentence is what's weird. And so do they mean the favorite place I have explored or my favorite type of place to explore? They might then respond with both. My favorite type of place to explore is anywhere that did manufacturing. Because generally they left behind tons of really cool equipment where you're like, what is this? What did this even do? What are these things? They left behind lots of computers. They left behind product manuals, service manuals, stuff you can really nerd out about. Just like huge machines from decades ago where you're like, this is how they used to do this. I do this at home now with a thing this big. Like, I love finding ancient relics that like just never get discussed anymore, and will never be seen by anybody ever again. Definitely manufacturing plants. The video we were watching there, and I realized I covered up with the slides, which is intentional, was a Zenith radio plant here in Chicago, which is like 2 blocks long and got turned into a bunch of other businesses that did their own manufacturing. So it's just the best treasure trove. It also got turned into band practice spaces, music production offices, auto body shops, the t-shirt place I mentioned, like that. The Zenith radio plant #1 in Chicago is like is the best, like Urbex 101 place, like first place to hit. Except it got hit by a fire and it's exceptionally dangerous now. But yeah, manufacturing plants are my favorite. My favorite personal place, like I mentioned, has been the abandoned subway system in Rochester, New York, which is it's gone. They used to have a subway and then they stopped. And the tunnels underground are still there in some places. Most of them have been filled in and had condos built on them, but there's still some decent stretches where you can get into those tunnels and a route around, and holy crap, is that cool. Like the tracks are still down there and shit. It's just neat.
Nice.
Right in downtown there?
Yes. Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
There's if you know Rochester, there's a famous place. What's the garbage plate? That's what the garbage.
Oh
plate,
yeah,
right?
near
So, there's a famous place to get a garbage plate there.
Yes.
It's a little diner. Right within a block of that diner there's still an entrance to the subway system, and there's a huge ramp, and it's hard to find, but like it's on the side of the road, and you'll know it because it's a ramp that could fit a car, and it goes all the way down for like a block, and then you're inside this tunnel. That's the entrance. That's the only remaining one I know of. So other than if you can crawl up from the river behind the library. And that's so that video's on. That's actually how I get out of the subway. That video's on my YouTube. You can see what I'm talking about. Just super cool. Amazing art in that subway. Probably the best graffiti art I've ever seen in all the urbex I've done.
What is the closest you have ever felt that you've come to getting arrested or caught?
I've never gotten close to being arrested. It's the only time that would happen is if you were screwing around to the extent where you caused other locals to call the police. It's not like police patrol these places. Or like if you parked your car directly in front of the building or something. Like that's maybe something I should have mentioned. OPSEC. Don't do that. Park a block away and walk it. Also, don't walk the block with your N95 mask. Well, I guess that's okay now. Back in the day, if you're walking around with an N95 mask and in a backpack and covered in lights, you might just get stopped in general from a suspicious police officer, especially if you're heading in the direction of a place they know people love to poke around in. So just OPSEC. Yeah, keep everything in your bag until you get inside and then robe.
Have you ever considered like pre-notification of certain locals, or like finding out a property owner and asking them, hey, I'd like to do this ahead of time. Do I have your permission?
I have done that. And that ended with me living inside of an old abandoned Bollywood movie theater for 8 months.
Well, there's a story I want more on.
There's a story. Yeah, exactly. Like that's a really good highlight. Yeah, that's a really awesome highlight. Okay. When you get permission versus doing it on the side.
We go until I hit stop streaming. So just keep going.
Okay, let me get my bottles ready for bathroom breaks. Hang on. Okay. So late 90s, just out of high school, that tells you how old I am. I had discovered that rent was a lot of money. And and I was like, why am I going to pay somebody to keep my stuff dry? And I was living out of my car at the time because of those reasons. And I was what we referred to as gainfully homeless. I had a job and I was not paying rent, and I was a transient, as they say. The times I didn't have a job too, because when you're transient, it's hard to mentally convince yourself to stay employed, because you're like, well, I can live out of my car. I don't need this. Also, I was paying off a very, very, very substantial lawsuit, which I've talked about in my other talks. And so a huge chunk of my paychecks went towards that. And I didn't have a lot of money. I couldn't afford rent to begin with either way. So anyway, I was living out of my car, and the Frank Lloyd Wright College library, because I would go there in the day and sleep in the library. And because I was college aged, people just thought I was a sleepy college kid, and that worked great. And then I would just be up all night. Flawless. My friend, who was the singer in my band at the time, I used to be in a fairly popular band in the 90s that I won't mention because I don't like people looking those videos up. I'm not proud of it. He had gotten it in his bonnet that he was going to buy a theater in the one of the worst neighborhoods in Chicago and turn it into a rock music venue. Great idea. He was also homeless and broke, like just substantially in debt. His whole gimmick was he would, if you were alive in the 90s, which I'm sure, were you all adults in the 90s? I know this guy was. Where is that way? Am I older than all of you? So
I'm not. I ain't touching that.
I'm not going to reveal my age in this one, but I'm quite young in this group.
Prior to the 2007 global housing crisis, which I know we were all adults for, you could get a credit card so long as you could pee your signature in the snow. And you didn't matter what your credit score was. Someone was going to give you $5,000 in credit just for signing your name.
I am so glad I never processed any of your paperwork.
You probably did. My friend, who I'll call BV for the sake of making this story easy, was a fan of looking for all those credit card applications that come in the mail, fill them all out, get himself a credit card, max the shit out of it, and throw it in the garbage and never pay a bill. And he was homeless, but he had an address that things get sent to and had no job. And so it was like his whole mentality was like, yes, sue me all you want. I have nothing, but it's your fault for continuing to send me credit cards. And he would buy lots of things with this money, and he never had a job. He never had a job. Never. He was never employed, and he had tons of spending power. And this is what led us to the global housing crisis. He had convinced himself that he was going to convert this old Bollywood theater into a venue. He had no money. He had a $5,000 credit limit. He had no money. But this theater, it was built in like 1905. It used to be an opera house. It was converted to a one-screen movie theater during the Silver Age, which is fucking cool. It was the HVAC system in it, which is giving it a lot of credit, was the heating was old World War I battleship boilers that were used to power the ships. Were now, after World War I was over, the entire earth thought we were done and we now lived in a global utopia and there would never be war again. And we began dismantling all of our military equipment because what a waste. We don't need this. We can repurpose that. The economy is booming because war makes the economy go crazy. Well, up until the military industrial complex. And that's another stream. So they took all these boilers and they used them to heat these massive buildings that were being built to house public entertainment, such as opera houses and movie theaters. And so there's these boilers in the basement of this place that say like USS Battleship over them. And you can go on Wikipedia and be like, this was a fucking World War I battleship boiler. This propelled the engines. And now it heated an opera house. How cool is this? And then this building had one of the earliest forms of modern air conditioning or cooling, which was it had a crazy, creepy ass crawl space, like 3 feet tall. And the floor of this crawl space was a grate, and a grate like with 6-inch squares. So big grate with a massive fan underneath it, like massive. So if you're crawling on this grate and you're looking down, there's a fan that's going to chop you into pieces. They would slide in. You remember they were like 1920s, 1930s, 40s, before electric refrigerators, we had ice boxes, and the Iceman would come with his big tongs in the cartoons, and he'd bring you a big ice block for your ice box. Mm-hmm. They would slide 100 of those ice blocks into this crawl space over the fan, turn the fan on, and it would just blow air over the ice blocks and then through a bunch of ducts. And those ducts, and this is hundreds of ducts, because they would all then vent out directly under your seat in the viewing hall. And that was their air conditioning. How cool is this place? BV wanted to turn it into a music venue. Cool idea. He finds the owner of this building and says, hey, we're some guys. And we're going to take this building you've been trying to sell for 20 years. So eventually it became a movie theater, and then it was in the 80s. It was turned to do like they showed all Bollywood films, Indian musical films, and then early 90s it died out. It's just been sitting ever since. So he goes, hey, we're considering converting your building into a music venue, but we have to know lots of things about it, and we want to buy it, but we have to bring in inspectors and contractors, and we have to get quotes and things and such. And things and such takes a lot of time. So the owner of this building, who it turns out owned many other buildings like this, was like, oh yeah, here. So why don't you just take the keys, and then you don't have to bug me every time someone needs to get in. And then you guys let me know how it turns out. And so we said, are you sure? And he said, yeah. And we said, that sounds like a deal. And we took the keys from him, and we proceeded to just live in this building for free for 8 months. And we had the keys and permission, and we delved into the depths of this place. And I took so many pictures. And then my bedroom was the projection booth of a movie theater that was converted to a movie theater in the 30s. And that was, well, it was creepy as fuck, but also it's very cool. And I had eventually busted into the door off of the projection booth and discovered that someone had been running a pirate radio station out of there that they had since abandoned, but like left all their equipment, which was really weird. Because I was like, all right, these guys are going to come back. Like there's shits here. They never did. So we discovered a pirate radio station, and it was I don't remember what they called themselves. Anyway, they played every Tuesday and Saturday night. They would play heavy metal music, all kinds of metal, death metal, prog rock, prog metal, which was something that the Chicago airwaves were decidedly missing. We had no metal station here. And so these guys were like, well, fuck that. And they would broadcast like metal, and they would focus on local bands and then move out from there. But it was all pirate because they couldn't get anyone to invest in sponsoring that. And we found at least one of the places they had broadcast out of. And that was cool. And it was next to my bedroom. So yeah, I have gotten permission, and it led to me having a place to live, although I did not actually have explicit permission to live there.
Permission to be there, live there is an entirely different discussion.
Yeah, it was under false pretenses for sure.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. One of the questions in the chat was, did you come across any or much nitrate film? Or to expand upon that, like, what were the hazards other than like imminent death by a million pieces through the fan? So it sounds like you were really young when you did this at the first place. Like, did you have concerns about asbestos? Did you have concerns about like, wow, this floor is squishy, I'm going to be ripped to 2 pieces?
Yeah. So this place was relatively safe. This place is what really
convincing.
This is the place that also got me into urban exploration as a hobby, and led to me discovering the Chicago Urban Exploration League, and then just going all gung ho and Johnny Christmas on the damn thing and becoming president. That's not relevant. So this place was an open hall. If you think of any rock venue that you've gone to, that used to be a ballroom or something, it's a huge open room. And then there's some side rooms. The roof on this place and the ceiling in general is relatively well intact. We confirmed that because my friend BV, who actually did think he was going to turn this place into a music venue with $0, did actually bring in contractors to get quotes. So we actually we brought in pros to let us know if this place we were exploring was safe. So just do that and you're fine. There was no nitrate film. There's not much left behind. The business that was there had vacated in a cleanly manner. They did leave some cool posters, which was nice, but there was nothing that was like, holy crap, we're all going to die in a horrible fire. I have certainly come across that in other places. In fact, the video we were just watching, there's I live streamed from that place later, and this is on my YouTube as well. At one point we come across this gargantuan plastic vat over probably 15 feet tall, twice as high as me, turned on its side. And I'm like, what is this? And I like stick my head in there. It's the most disgusting thing I've ever smelled. And it was like, but it smelled familiar. And I was like, oh my God, that's horrible. And then somebody pointed out like, hey, there's a bunch of developer fluid over here. And I was like, that's what it is. And it was a 15-foot tank for developer fluid. And it was based on the other equipment we found in that room. It looked like they had been doing optical enlargements of documents, which involves having like a very large lens and taking something small and then taking a picture and developing it. And I was like, yeah, that's developer fluid. Cause I used to work in a place that developed photographs. And it's like, that's what that is. Oh my God.
It's a very specific smell.
Yeah.
But
you can't put your finger on it. You're like, what is it?
Yeah.
It's like
like weird plastic,
sulfuric,
sweet,
yeah,
something. It's actually kind of what my feet smell like right now.
Neat. That's exciting. Yeah. Any other questions? This is good. This is exciting.
Prog rock.
I haven't talked about this in forever.
What was the weirdest toy? The weirdest toy that you found while exploring? Yeah.
Doesn't have to be 18 or older. Just like, yeah.
Stop.
So toys themselves are, I don't know about weirdest toy, because I mean, toys are toys. Like I haven't come across like a weird, unless like I didn't know it was a toy. But like
most exciting,
I'll come across toys on occasion, and it's usually like, it's more one of those things that makes you stop and consider life. Cause like, again, I keep referencing this video we just made, and maybe because it's on the top of my head or whatever, because you can go see it. But like, there's one point we come across a room where at least two people was living their daily life inside of while transient. And one of them was a child, because there was some toys that were left behind. And it was a small room. It's kind of big really, but like small for two people to live in, but it was probably 20 by 10. Bunk beds, a refrigerator, closets, and they had left a lot of clothes and toys and left many things behind. And it makes you wonder, like, well, what happened to them that they left all they had behind? And also what happened to them that someone and their child, like, this is where they had to live, inside an abandoned Zenith radio station. And they still tried to make the best of the life they had. Like, there was kids' drawings on the walls and like this kid's toys. Like, you know, when you're a kid, like, toys are a big part of your life, and to have to leave your toys behind is like fucking devastating, you know? And so whenever I come across like toys, it's in that context where it's like someone who owned toys lived here. And then you go like, someone had to live here, some child, a child had to live this life. And it's just one of those things that makes you stop and think about like everything that I have. Like, how fucking rich am I? Like, you think about like, I'm broke and I got this mortgage and I got to pay these bills. But then you think like, I have a mortgage. I own a home. I own a house. I can, if I want to buy an Oculus Rift, I can. Whereas this child who is like, you know, and these are the toys of like a 5 or 6 year old, like this child can like had to live in a place where they might die because the roof fell in,
or exposure to cold, or
and their parent or whoever was their guardian, whoever was taking care of them, like loved them so much that they still like found a place where like we can make food, and there were hot plates in there. Like we can make food in here. We can live here. It you know, and we'll get you toys, and we'll try to make you as happy as you can.
Try to make the best of it.
Yeah, like that stuff hits me really, really, really hard. So I don't know about weird toys, but just the fact, like the act of finding toys in a situation where these people were living there, like really, it hurts, and it makes you stop and think. Every single time you have to stop and go, wow, here's me. What an asshole I am. Like going through their house, like, whoa, look how these people had to live. Wasn't this cool? And I got my 4K GoPro and like someone like I'm looking at something like what everyone had. It always makes me stop and think like, wow, what a fucking asshole I am.
So I don't want to pivot off of the asshole part, but a pivot question would be, how often have you encountered other people in these situations, and how have you like stress level to craziness to like, we're cool here, bro, sort of thing?
Yes, it has run that gamut.
So how do you de-escalate from like one to another?
So just generally, if you're in the like, hey, I'll just go through what I've seen. Most of the time, if you're being covert and OPSEC the whole time, as you shouldn't be making a lot of noise. Generally, you shouldn't be making a lot of noise because that probably means you're also stomping around and you're like creating a safety risk for yourself. You should be slowly and intentionally moving around the space. You're probably going to notice the other person first. Or they're going to notice you first. And generally, if they're also doing what you're doing, you're probably going to go out of your way to just avoid each other because you don't know who that other person is and why they're there. Are they the building owner? Are they the police who were called in because somebody said you were there and they happen to be out of uniform? You know what? You don't know. Are they a homeless person? Are they a homeless person who may have a mental disorder, who may attack you inadvertently? Like you just don't know. So you just avoid, you be quiet, and you get quiet and you stop and you watch and you stay out of sight, and usually they're moving, and you wait long enough until they're just gone or at least out of earshot. And then generally you're okay. Sometimes you'll come across somebody who immediately sees you and you make eye contact, and I haven't gotten in a situation where it's escalated to the extent where like someone tried to attack me or they're like, I'm calling the fucking cops. Cause it's like, it's what I call the strip club paradox, which is, this is a Henry Rollins story. If anyone's familiar with Henry Rollins, one of my favorite storytellers of all time, also singer of Black Flag, but better known as a storyteller, I think, where he's a very famous person and a very recognizable person. And he was in a strip club in Bangkok, I believe, like one of the like extreme strip clubs where you go to see some shit. And there was he was next to the stage, and there was a person on the other side of the stage who recognized him and who was like, and then tells his friend, like, that's him. That's fucking Henry Rollins is here. Fucking holy fuck! Why is Henry Rollins in a strip club? Look at this fucking dude. He goes to strip clubs, like, and it's like, well, yeah, but like, also you're in the strip club. Like we're both doing this thing. So what else is going on? And so usually like that's the situation you're in, is like you're gonna come across other people who are also in there because like, well, this is a cool weird place. I'm gonna go check it out. And so they're gonna be nervous though and worried. And generally, like if you proactively dispel that situation, it works out where you go, hey, what's up? You poking around, exploring? And generally they'll go like, yeah. And you go, cool. And then if you provide some information, like watch out for this and this, it's messed up that way, but check out that way, they're going to go, cool. And then they're going to go that way. And then you're going to go your way, and everything generally works out fine. And that's like the worst situation I've come across where I actually had to interact with someone. Nearly always. Oh, I mean, there's been situations where I have come across people who lived there. And the one time I actually had to interact with them, they were so far out of their mind from, I don't know their situation, either just general mental disability or drugs or what have you, that the conversation didn't really go much of anywhere. That was a funny one though, because we had been trying to get into this building all day. And we eventually, without going into what the building is and everything, we eventually got in through a roof hatch by pry barring and hammering and whacking off the welding joints that were old and rusted and cracked, and eventually getting this roof hatch open. And we had tried everything else. We had looked everywhere. We had considered everything. We get through a roof hatch on a 7-story building, make our way down. And on the first floor, we find this room that is like full of mattresses. Like the whole floor is covered in mattresses. And we're like, what's going on here? And in there is one dude sleeping on the mattress. And like, I swear, like I did the thing where you like step on one stick and it cracks and it wakes him up at like cartoon level. And he goes, somebody goes, hey, yeah. And I'm like, same. And like, it just, that conversation didn't go anywhere, and he had trouble communicating and wasn't particularly a threat. And so it's fine, but we got the hell out of there. But the group's general consensus was, we spent all day and we had to crack open a fucking roof hatch. How did this dude get 90 mattresses into this place? And he sleeps in here. Did he weld the roof hatch shut? What's going on? And so that was the one time I actually had to like converse with somebody who was maybe not so happy we were there. Just this last time we did a dive, there was somebody definitely like pooping in a bucket, but we were far enough away that we could skirt around and they didn't notice us. But yeah, generally there hasn't been a situation where like a massive altercation occurs because they're abandoned buildings.
That's really fascinating. It's
I like the questions because it makes me remember crap like that.
Have you ever made any friends or continued contact? Like, in other words, not just with the team that goes in, but like, hey, I met this person in that situation that was there. I may come back and try to meet them, help them, anything along those lines.
That's
on either side of it.
That's a great way to start, like working your way into the urban exploration realm. Bear in mind, a lot of the urban explorers aren't doing it for the reason you're doing it. A lot of them are taggers. A lot of them are looking for huge walls that they can put like a fat piece on and take some time. And so they're not necessarily exploring for the sake of seeing like what was in here. What did people do? What happened with this place? Who used to be here? They're in there like, hey, where can I find a huge wall that's not going to get touched for a very long time, where I can put some art on that won't get sandblasted off in a week. And so at the very least, like those two groups kind of intersect because they both want to get into abandoned places. And so those are really cool people to make friends with. There was one recent time where I was doing a drone recon of a building. And if you go in my YouTube, you can piece the timeline together. I should just put that right here, like youtube.com/Johnny Christmas, because that's all he talks about. I was doing a drone recon, and chat, I was streaming it on Twitch, and chat was like, there's people on the roof. There's people on the roof. And I didn't see them. And this is why I love chat and I love streaming, because chat always calls out shit you missed. And I'm like, where? And chat like guided the drone back, like go left, past that square thing right there. And I was like, where? Because I'm on my phone. So I'm like trying to find people on a roof like this. And chat has this. And I'm like, where? And then I see them. I'm like, oh, fuck, there's people on the roof. And I'm looking at them and I'm like, oh, they're tagging. They found a big wall. They're tagging. And like, I lowered the drone like really low, like intentionally to let them like kind of to like say hi. And they turned around and they're like, hey, hi, whatever. We're fucking tagging. Like, you're probably not the cops, whatever. And then I threw it up, I threw that video up on YouTube like I do. And within a few days, someone commented and they just said like, hey, you found trespassers. And then I responded with like, yeah, they were some people who were tagging up on the roof. And then that same person responded with, yeah, it was me. And I was like, oh shit. And this is a place we couldn't figure out how to get into yet. And I was like, oh shit. Are you on Discord? Hit me up. Here's my handle. Because I was going to be like, hey, how'd you get up there, etc. And then they responded with like, nope, I'm on Instagram. Find me there. And they dropped their Instagram handle. And then like within like 4 hours deleted the comment. And I was like, cool. And I found them on Instagram and I was like, hey, and their Instagram is like super OPSEC, like all like they don't show anything about where they live. It's all of them just like first person view painting art. And I was like, hey, I'm the guy, the drone in the roof looking to get up, and ended up having a long conversation about various ways to access the building that they had found. And we ended up getting in a way that they didn't. And then I went back and I was like, hey, heads up, we found an easier way in. And so now, like, I have this person that, like, we like each other's shit on Instagram or whatever, but like, I know, like, that's that tag or urbex person. And the next time I see them in some weird building where I'm like, hey, where was that? That looks cool. They're going to be like, oh yeah, it's over here. Check it out, because we got in good with them. And really, I got in good with them by busting them, tagging on the roof. So yeah, it definitely happens. It's very anonymous. The upside is that, strangely, social media makes it really easy to communicate anonymously.
Nice. No, thank you for that's a lot of details.
It is.
Real quick, Johnny, I did add your YouTube channel to just under your picture box on this live stream for those who are watching who wanna go to it.
Cool, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
We'll put my Twitch on there too.
Okay.
It's twitch.com/JohnnyXmas with a 0 and a 4, same as my Twitter handle.
I guess there will be one last question that we should probably address to close out. Have you primarily stayed in just the United States, or have you expanded to North America? Have you done this elsewhere in the world? Have you met other people elsewhere in the world that do this? Like, how do you grow this as a hobby, I guess, would be a broader question.
So actually, one of my most favorite places I've ever dove in was an abandoned World War II children's hospital on the outskirts of Berlin, Germany. Just again, it's on my YouTube. Check it out. Click like and subscribe to get all your updates. It just huge and so cool. And we had to hop like 3 fences to get inside, and it's falling apart. And then somebody set the roof on fire. But the artwork in there was amazing. Like, I think my favorite part of urban exploration is the art. I love the art. It's so cool. People do so much awesome stuff with a couple of cans of spray paint. It's just fucking mind blowing. And I love that they do it, and they need to keep it up. These places are going to get torn down anyway. Like, throw some art up on the wall for anyone. And it's cool because like you have to expend a lot of effort to get inside these places. And then like your reward is you're one of the only people on earth who has seen this art in person, probably less than 100 people, maybe less than 50. And you've seen this. And it's like, what a great reward where you can go, look at this. A person made this. A human being with 3 cans of spray paint made something that I think about at night when I go to bed. Like, that's one of the best parts of urban exploration. And, but yeah, as far as locating places to dive when you're in a foreign country, well, first and foremost, breaking the law when you're not a citizen of that country can go south really fast. It can go north really fast too. Oftentimes, you're going to get a slap on the wrist and told, go back to your hotel. Sometimes you'd be told, go the fuck home. And that's better than prison in a foreign country for sure. Like, shit, I had to cut my trip short because I'm not allowed in Berlin anymore. All right.
The last thing that you want to have to rely on is the State Department right now. Yeah.
Be cognizant of how friendly that country's government is with the US. So Germany, extremely friendly. So, it's generally fine. What was the question? Oh, as far as like finding those places though, my current favorite consistent source is Atlas Obscura. Check that out. I think a lot of hackers are going to be familiar with Atlas Obscura. Atlas Obscura, among other things, catalogs weird places. They have a great book they just put out, which is so cool. It's a great coffee table book that's all weird places, and I bought it to support them because I love them. They also run really small weird shops in various cities. I was at one of the shops in LA that is a time traveler's market, and it's like a little bodega that has everything you need as a time traveler. It's super fun and cool, and that's where I bought their coffee table book. But they also, in the back of these places, they run educational facilities for kids. And we have one here that's a spy store, and you can buy everything you need as a spy. But in the back, they run writing workshops for children. And I'm like, I'll buy a fuck ton of shit from this place because that's amazing. Atlas Obscura is great for finding things like this. So highly recommend at least starting there. But then aside from that, ye old Google, and just abandoned and city name, and see where you go from there. Sometimes you can even punch it into Google Maps. Also, the word former in Google Maps can get you a long way. Just go to a city and search for the phrase former, and you will come up with some things. Sometimes the former this or that is now something else, and you're out of luck. But sometimes it's still just sitting there, and you can go a long way.
That's awesome. It's I do have one personal question.
It's cat o'clock. You got to wait. It's cat 30.
oh meow.
Sophie wanted to say hello.
As a personal question, you said a few keywords through the evening that I was kind of curious about. So I recall like various symbols that are used to communicate the states of things. So if you want to think about like the color of the paint on the road matters the importance of the infrastructure that is buried beneath.
Sure. Yeah.
What about so from the construct of your education about things like that versus symbols like, I don't want to use the phrase hobo code, but in that sort of stuff, like, did you ever educate yourself in that aspect, and how so, and has it been relevant?
So unfortunately, most of the people who do dives like this are not as the camaraderie that rail riders and hobos had does not exist anymore. There's no understood code.
Yeah, but general, like if you want to think about like gangs, how they have their own monikers for specific things, is there like symbology in this space that symbolizes something?
No, and it's sad.
Warp, like when people used to do Wi-Fi stuff with war painting, not war painting. Well, when they were war driving, they'd chalk it out on the sidewalk a long time ago.
Yeah. Oh wow, that was still like, and that was still hobo code style stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
But even
like,
then,
I'm kind of curious. Like
most people who did war driving still didn't even do that. You know.
Yeah.
No. That's gone. That's long gone. And it's primarily because there isn't really a scene anymore. There's not a culture. There's not a group of people who do this. It's all individuals who do this. And unfortunately that means that we're all separate. And even when you get, involved with a group of people who do this sort of work, like there's not anything like that. And certainly if you get enough people in your municipality, you can establish that as a rule and say, hey guys, when you go diving, here's some symbols that we would like you to use when you find things. I'm personally a fan of not modifying the space in any way. And aside from that, you can go a long way in assessing the safety or anything from a place just by, like I said, looking at the ceiling, you look at the floor, you get a couple whacks. There's not a lot that needs to be communicated, I guess is what I'm saying. Other than that, you can certainly spray paint on the wall, check out this way or dead in that way. But even then, like someone's going to be like,
definitely empty.
Probably bullshit. Like I see, like there's one in this building we just did that was like clown this way. You follow the arrows, and then there's a door. It's like clown is inside here, and it's like nope. There's another one that was like dead girl and an arrow, and I was like, guys, it's like dead girl this way, and I was like, guys, why don't we check out what's over there?
There's no clowns or dead girls that away.
Yeah, as far as I've been able to deduce.
But yeah. I'm not a trained criminal investigator, but I believe we should go that way.
Just write cake.
I'm a fan of not being involved in criminal investigations, so we should check out that hallway.
I don't want to be a witness.
Yeah,
just write cake that way and just have it loop around on itself.
Hey, and you'll see some great stuff. It'll be a tour.
Yeah. Oh, actually leave it as a tour. Like, put tape something on the wall that says tour this way, and then document it. Anyways.
Yeah. I don't bring anything.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't bring spray paint. I don't bring anything like that. I don't. I can't do art. I can do Kermit the Frog. I can't. Yeah. I just don't. I'm busy.
Well, it's also like leave it. I'm always a leave things better than you find them sort of mindset.
Sure, Boy Scouts.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's like that's what really bothers me. Like when I see bad art or just like words scrawled on a wall, I'm like, you fucking. Like somebody could have put something really cool here. Like this is a canvas. Like somebody could have come down here and painted something cool. And you just there was one building. There's a guy whose his tagger handle was just Brian, and it was all over this building like Brian. And I'm like, Brian, like step one, get a handle. Like
step 2, stop spray painting in Comic Sans.
And you have just, and it's funny. That's literally what it was. It's like spray paint cans naturally default to Comic Sans. I don't know if you've noticed, but it's like if they got the rounded the rounded lips and everything. It's like it's Comic Sans. Spray paint is Comic Sans.
Learn a new font.
I learned from Johnny Christmas's presentation that spray paint cans paint in Comic Sans.
Control B.
Yeah, just fucking.
Now it's just traced another.
I'm so mad at Brian. That's the.
Now I want to go put a sticker on the rack of spray paint at Home Depot that says, "Make sure you change your font from Comic Sans."
Now just get little stickers and put them on each can that just says Comic Sans, Comic Sans. Yeah. Right under the color. It's like Krylon, brown, Comic Sans. And they're going to spray paint it and go, oh, wow, how'd they do that? This is nuts.
And on top of that, I think I got an idea for a new sticker, which is just the word Brian in Comic Sans.
But it has to be huge. That was the thing. He would take these blank walls and be like, Brian. And I'm like, Brian, you fucked this whole fucking wall up. Like, Brian, come here a minute. I need you to, we got to have a talk with HR. Fucking Brian.
So that's all the line of questioning I had for you. If you wish to consult an attorney, one can be appointed.
I did that thing where you get your headphone cable stuck in your chair.
Oof.
I will admit, I just moved to the inline rollerblade wheels for my chair.
Happens to the best of us. All right, I'm back.
Super amazing.
Yeah.
So.
No, that's all the line of questioning I had. If you wanted to consult with your attorney, you're allowed to at this point because you didn't invoke your Fifth Amendment right. So, no. Oh wait,
yeah, I like to save it for the end.
Sorry, that was just like the general.
If there are any amendments,
fataholic.
If there are any amendments that you would like to invoke at this time, please say so.
See, that's something you need to include. Like when I was like, you guys, like professionally, you're supposed to forward the questions you're going to ask ahead of time.
That's no fun.
Please note any amendments you would like to evoke, i.e. the fifth.
Or the second.
Or the second. Yeah, it doesn't work well over the internet, I found. But one day we'll be back. Person.
Pew, pew, pew.
Well, Johnny, I want to thank you for joining us this evening for the last night of WOPTOBERFEST 2020, presented by Pumpkin Spiced Labs.
I always liked that phrase, I want to thank you, because it implies you haven't thanked me and you're not going to.
No, you're screwed.
Like, I want to, but I won't.
I haven't hit the stop button yet. I still have plenty of time.
All right. Okay. Just, I'm listening.
If anyone from the live stream wants to join us in the WOPR general chat, we're going to pop over there and hang out for a bit more. Mm-hmm. Thank you to Clay and Russ for joining us also, and once again, thank you, Johnny, for joining us this evening. And on that note, goodbye.
Cheers.
Thank you, Johnny.
Bye.
Thank you.
Everybody
Thank
wave.
You, Tall. Thank you,
Everybody
Tall.
wave.
Cheers.
Cheers. And wave. That's it. All right. Bye.